Hello everyone. Today I wanted to film a video talking about books that I don't talk about enough on my channel. I got this recommendation on my Patreon and I thought that was a great video idea because there's definitely books that I want to talk about more, that I love and I feel like I don't talk about enough on my channel. So I have a selection of books in front of me that I want to talk about. So basically I recommend all these books. I love them and maybe I have talked about them in the past, but I feel like I haven't talked about them enough because I love these books. And if you're looking to read more great books, a great service that I recommend is Book of the Month, who are sponsoring this video. So appreciative of them. Absolutely love Book of the Month. Book of the Month makes it so easy to decide which book to read next. Basically, each month their editorial team reads through hundreds of new titles. They then pick some of the best new books for you to choose from. I love that their selections are focused on new and upcoming authors, so it helps you as the reader discover books that you wouldn't have found on your own, and it also can inspire you to venture outside your regular genres. So because you have a few titles to choose from each month, you can save time researching which books to read, and it makes it easier to decide. It's such a fun service. Obviously, every month you get to choose your monthly book from their selections, and your book will arrive in this fun, bright blue box. They have a fun app to pick your book and track your reading progress. They have reading challenges with rewards. Every aspect of Book of the Month wants to celebrate books and reading. They also offer the best prices on new release hardcover fiction. They have free shipping. They have a loyalty rewards program. So I'm going to show you my personal top 2 picks out of the April selections. So I couldn't decide between Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which is a romance. I have yet to read from Abby Jimenez, but I have heard incredible things about her books, and I love my romance, so I wanted to get this, and the premise sounds really fun. So it follows Emma, who is cursed because basically every guy that she dates ends up finding his true love after they break up. And she ends up meeting a guy on Reddit who has the same curse. So they believe that if they date each other, the curses will cancel out. Very fun, and I can't wait to read it. I'm also super keen on How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwang. This is another romance, and this follows 2 characters who experience a tragic accident that bound their lives together. They don't speak for 13 years, but they end up coming back together, and they have to make peace with their past. I'm always looking for more romance authors, which is another reason why I love Book of the Month, because I can discover new authors that way. And yes, so very excited for these. These are also the Book of the Month exclusive editions, so they have the little Book of the Month logo at the top, and they're obviously beautiful hardcovers. So yeah, I just adore Book of the Month. And you can actually get your first book for just $5 with the code PASTEL. So we'll have that website and code in my description. And thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Okay, so now let's get into my book recommendations. Firstly, I have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Maybe I've talked about this once on my channel, but definitely not enough because I adore this book, and every time I see it, it brings me happiness. Firstly, because of the cover. It's so beautiful, but also because I had the best experience reading this book. I think I actually listened to the audiobook, which was really good, but I got gifted this edition from my bestie Kevin, and I love it. So this is actually written in verse, and I love my poetry, books written in verse, all of that. So yes, it's written in verse, and it has beautiful illustrations throughout as well. And basically this is Michael's story, and we follow him from being a teenager to going to college. So it's a coming of age story. It's him coming to terms with his identity as a mixed race gay teen. We see him find his people, his community, and we see him find his wings as a drag artist, the Black Flamingo. This is not about being ready. It's not even about being fierce or fearless. It's about being free. Highly recommend this to everyone. It also discusses, toxic masculinity, race, sexuality, friendship. I just adore it. Withering Heights by Emily Bronte. I adore this book. This was one of the best reading experiences ever. Prior to this, I wasn't really a classics queen, and I wouldn't really consider myself a classics queen. I still don't read classics that often, but this inspired me to read more classics. I grew up reading classics for school and found them really inaccessible, boring, etc. But obviously there are some really fun classics out there, and they are classics for a reason. So Withering Heights, I understand. It's so funny, entertaining, well written, heartbreaking. It just has it all, honestly. And I was not expecting it to be funny. Like, I have so many purple tabs, and purple indicates a funny moment, and I was just cracking up. I love the way that this book is written, and it's just so unserious at times. Like, Devil Daddy, you said I killed you, Haunt me then. I just love the drama. Be with me always, take any form, drive me mad. Only do not leave me in this abyss where I cannot find you. Oh God, it is unutterable. I cannot live without my life. I cannot live without my soul. I wouldn't murder you tonight, unless perhaps I set the house on fire. But that's as my fancy goes. I just adore it, and obviously it has the iconic quote, whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. I honestly need to reread it because when I read it, I gave it 4 stars. I don't know what I was thinking because every time I think about this book, I only have fond memories, and I think it's a masterpiece, so I need to reread and see if it's actually 5 stars, but yeah. Love you, Withering Heights. Okay, now I want to talk about a manga series, and that is Orange by Ichiko Takano. I used to talk about this a lot a few years ago, but it's been a while and I need to talk about it because I adore this series. I also love the anime adaptation. This is basically a really cute but also heartbreaking sci-fi story. So it follows Naho and her friendship group. And on her first day of year 11, she receives a letter from her future self, so herself 10 years in the future. She obviously thinks it's some weird prank, but as the letter's predictions come true, she starts to take the letter more seriously. So yes, we follow Naho and her friendship group. There's also a romance. It deals with one of the characters dealing with depression. It just means so much to me. I love this series because of the way that it talks about depression and also just the romance and the friends. Like this friendship group, I would die for them, each and every one of them. And I love a story that does time travel well, and I feel like this one definitely does. And like I said, the anime, so good. Just look at these cuties. I know you don't know them if you haven't read it, but they are everything. Love Orange. Another manga I recommend, Frankenstein by Junji Ito. I wanted to talk about this because when I talk about Junji Ito, I usually talk about, Uzumaki, Tommy, but Frankenstein? Oh my goodness. I love a good Frankenstein retelling or adaptation. I just love the story of Frankenstein, and this is Junji Ito's take on the story of Frankenstein. I love it because obviously Junji Ito is a horror king, so he really made the story horrific, and the stunning art style. It is just, honestly, this is one of my top Junji Ito recommendations, and honestly I'm going to keep this out because I want to reread this. Okay, then I wanted to talk about All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. This is one of the books that always catches my eye when I look at my bookshelf because I look at it and think, oh, I've been wanting to reread you for so long and it needs to happen. I read it first on Kindle and I bought the physical because I needed to reread it and annotate it. I only have one page that I bothered to annotate without actually rereading it. I've never met anybody like you. I've met people who don't know what it's like to be sad. I've met resilient people. But you got this spark of life that nothing and no one has taken away despite the things that have happened to you. And I don't understand how you still manage to be you. Oh my god, I love these cuties. This follows Aurora, who I believe is going through a divorce, and she moves to this small town to start her life over and, heal from a breakup, all of that. So she moves to this small town in the mountains and meets Road, I believe his name is. And he is this fun older guy who is kind of a loner, but he's sure of himself. He knows who he is. He has his life. He's quite standoffish at first because, it's definitely a little bit of a hate to love vibe. And I just always think about certain scenes in this book and smile because I love this book, and I'm pretty sure I cried when I read it because it meant so much to me. And I did vlog when I was reading this, but that was a few years ago. I don't think I've really talked about it since, but I love this book so much. It's definitely a perfect slow burn. It's quite long. Yeah, it's over 500 pages, but Mariana Zapata definitely knows how to write a perfect slow burn. It's just so satisfying. Oh, I just love a small town romance, especially in the mountains. Okay, another romance, Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This isn't the typical romance. Oh my god, honestly I've never read anything like this because it is written in a really beautiful way. It's written in second person. I didn't think I would be a fan of second person because I haven't read many books written in second person that I have loved, but wow. And even if you start this and you're kind of thrown off, I would say continue reading and get used to the writing style because it is beautiful. It's basically about 2 young people who meet in London, a photographer and a dancer. Open Water asks what it means to be a person in a world that sees you only as a black body, to be vulnerable when you're only respected for strength, to find safety in love only to lose it. It is gorgeous. Beautiful writing, beautiful romance, heartbreaking, important discussions on race, identity. Love it. It's really short as well, so please give it a chance if you haven't read it. It is just incredible. Ari Adney by Jennifer Saint. Such a beautiful book. Also, the cover is obviously just, I'm so distracted by that beautiful cover, honestly. But yeah, Ari Adney, oh my goodness. Literally love you. Jennifer Saint writes Greek mythology retellings focusing on women. So this is a story of Ari Adney. It is the most powerful story on womanhood, friendship, men being gross. Oh my god, I just loved it. I actually really love Greek mythology, and I've never been super into it, but I definitely want to learn more. I used to be super intimidated by Greek mythology retellings because I didn't know much about it, but this was a really accessible read for someone who didn't know much about Greek mythology. So, you know, even if you don't care about Greek mythology, I would highly recommend it. But yeah, I definitely need to read Jennifer Saint's other works because let me get them actually. So I have her other books, Electra and Atalanta. Beautiful covers. You know what? I need to add this to my priority TBR shelf. Yep, that needs to happen. That needs to happen. See, I love to film these videos because it reminds me of the books that I need to read ASAP. Hopefully you'll see me reading these soon because I love the way that Jennifer Saint writes. Honestly, I've only read one book by her, but she's one of my favorite writers because she really has descriptive, luscious writing that I love. Let me give you an example actually. It did not feel momentous, yet when I tore my eyes away from his, I found that nothing looked quite the same, as though the world had fractured and sheared away from itself to reshape an almost, but not quite, the same formation. As though I had looked at a waterfall and realized with a faint jolt that the water flowing over the rock was ever changing, and it would never be the same water again. I love Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. This is a romance that I discovered through Book of the Month, and I feel like I've only talked about it like maybe once, but this is such a fun romance. This follows Karina, who has really given up hope on finding love, and she ends up having an argument with Dr. Prem Verma, host of the Dr. Dill show, and their argument goes viral. So this is how they first connect. We have the fun hate to love dynamic. They are both so fun. They have the best chemistry. It's funny, it's fun, it's sexy. It is just the perfect romance. Honestly, if you don't annotate or at least put tabs in your book, I highly recommend it because if you ever need some happiness, just go to your books, go to the pink tabs or whatever color you choose for moments you love and just quickly look over your favorite moments. Yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun. Okay, a non-fiction that I have to talk about. Conversations on Love by Natasha Lunn. I loved this book. I love to read non-fiction on love. And I really loved that this book focuses not only on romantic love, but love between family, friends, strangers, endings, beginnings. In the introduction it says, "It seems strange to me how we expect so much from love and yet devote so little time to understanding it." So basically many authors contributed to this. So some of the people who write in this book, Dolly Alderton, love you, which by the way, I'm seeing Dolly Alderton in person, like she's doing an event in Australia. I can't wait. But anyway, Roxane Gay, Emily Nagoski, Diana Evans. So this talks on falling in love slowly, vulnerability, accepting change, the loneliness of loss, the science of sex, unrealistic expectations, and more. So yeah, highly recommend this. I loved it and learned a lot from it. The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali. Oh my god, this is one of my favorite books of all time, but I feel like I just don't talk about it enough because I have so much love for this book. And honestly, Baman is one of the most perfect fictional men ever. He's passionate about social justice, he is romantic, he is thoughtful, he's caring, he's kind. He is stunning. So I love him. I love Roya. I love their love story. I love the way that this story is told. We have two timelines and I love a dual timeline story. So the first timeline is in 1953 Tehran and then there's present day. Roya and Barman both love Rumi's poetry, so there's a lot of talk on Rumi and I love Rumi. This is just such a beautiful and heartbreaking story that I would honestly recommend to everyone. Like, I don't know how anyone could read this and not like it. It is just so universal and captivating. It's just everything. And I feel like it's a book that everyone should read. So The Stationery Shop, I love you. Okay, finally, I want to talk about Film for Her by Orion Carlotto. I feel like I have not talked about this enough. There was a time where I was talking about it a lot a few years ago, but yeah, it's been a few years and this is everything to me. This is a collection of people, places, and memories captured on film. So we have poetry, we have essays, and we have photos, I just adore Orion Colotto. She is one of my favorites. The way she sees the world and romanticizes her life and her relationships with people, including her female friendships, I adore, because she really focuses on how much there is to be gained from your friendships and platonic love. But she also does talk about romantic love. I absolutely love her photos as well. And she has a way of just making me grateful to be alive and to experience every human emotion. So yeah, I love it. And I highly recommend it, especially if you want to get more into poetry and you don't really know where to start, because this obviously has that multimedia format, so it makes it quite accessible and fun and inspiring. And I love it. I really do love it. So if you haven't read this yet, I highly recommend it. Okay, so those are all the books that I wanted to talk about today. Please let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. This was very fun, and honestly, maybe I'll film more videos just talking about books that I've read and want to talk about more, because I've obviously read a lot and I want to talk about the books that I've read and loved and recommend them to you all. Thank you once again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. Don't forget you can get your first book for just $5 by using the code PASTEL. If you're looking for more content from me, I have my Patreon always linked below, which is where I upload extra content. We have a monthly book club, we have Patreon exclusive live shows, more reading vlogs, and more. All my socials are always linked down below. I hope you're all having a good day or night. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you in my next one.